without What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Game Show presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined as sometimes by Josh Fuster. What's up, Josh?
Hey, it's always, I just went away for a little while. I was here in spirit. I was in the chat sometimes. It's hard when you're in outer space, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we finally got you back from outer space. It was hard getting you out there. It was even harder getting you back, but we're glad to have you back on the show today, Josh. Guys, joining us as well today is a very special guest here for Mock Draft Monday. We've got Vilele Salas with us. He is the creator of the Fantasy 50 and a fantasy analyst over at the Undroppables. And Vi, we are so glad to have you on today. Thank you so much, my man.
I appreciate you guys having me on. And Josh, like, you were in Hawaii and you were still online. I feel like you didn't really get to, get the full Hawaii service. I know you got a job to do, but you're in Hawaii, man.
Here's my response to that. Hawaii was amazing. I didn't want to be online, but I just enjoy and love this so much. And I love everyone in the chat. I love Simon. I just needed it. I'm addicted. So that's my answer. All right.
Addicted to the chat.
Best answer. Yeah.
I'm addicted to our chat. I love having them in there. Guys, we got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Craig said, afternoon, guys. Anyone else feel a bit cold? Almost like there's a draft in here. How long have you been holding on to that one, Craig?
I read that first, and I didn't get it. I'll be honest. I was like, we're doing a mock draft.
Perfect.
I hope Craig's a dad, because that's like perfect.
Oh, he is.
You have no idea.
He gives us a dad joke almost every day in the chat. We start off with a Craig dad joke. It's tradition. What's up, Scott? Welcome in. And Scott saying hello to Craig. And Scott said, I think Josh was afraid to draft against me so much that he went to outer space to avoid me. Yeah, you missed Scott coming on Mock Draft Monday.
That's part of the reason. But let's see. Let's see who has a better team this time. Scott, are you in this draft?
I don't know if Scott's in this draft. We got Mr. Scampers in here. What's up? Welcome in. I'm glad to have you here. And we got Alex in here said, I can't wait to use Zapier to save time. Well, I can't wait for you to do that either. Alex, what's up, Dame? Welcome in. And Dame and Mr. Scampers, if you guys check out the mock draft review from last week, posted today, someone might have talked about your teams a little bit, talked about 3 teams in there. Tim wants to know, who in the heck is the guy in the top right?
My name's JF.
He's a new guy that we brought on to help stream with us. You may not have seen him in a while. J-Wall hyped that Josh is back. And Mr. Scamper said, beautifully floral show today. Yeah, when Vi comes on, we always know we get the absolutely beautiful flower background behind him right there. Come here now. What's up?
Colorful,
You gotta. What's up? Yeah. Welcome and glad to have you here. And Scott letting you know that he didn't join this one because he didn't want to ruin your first draft back.
Thank you. I needed that.
What's up, Damian? Welcome in. Glad to have you here. And guys, before we start our mock draft, a couple reminders. Number one, if you are not already following our guest Vilele over on Twitter, go and do that right now. His Twitter handle is Vi Salas. It is right there below his handsome face and those beautiful flowers on the screen. So make sure you follow him over on Twitter. After you do that, if you are on this video right now, if you're watching this, that means you're most likely already on our YouTube channel. Go and hit that subscribe button and make sure you like this video. It is the #1 way to show your support for what we're doing over here. And number 2 and number 3, and probably the 4th best way as well. Guys, today, like I mentioned, we are doing a Dynasty tight end premium startup mock draft. It is going to be 1 quarterback, so not super flex. The only difference is it's going to be tight end premium. A couple qualifiers. Maybe you have never done a tight end premium league. You're watching in the chat. What this means is that it's like PPR. All players are going to get 1 point per reception, except tight ends. they are going to get 1.5 points per reception. So it just ups the value of those receptions for tight ends a little bit, makes the position a little bit more valuable, and we'll see how that plays out in this draft. On that note, though, Sleeper does not have a setting for Dynasty Tight End Premium. So your ADPs down there will not reflect the increased value in tight ends. Just a reminder, feel free to draft tight ends whenever you want, but they're likely going to go earlier than ADP suggests because of how Sleeper has the ADP.
Stop telling
You're drafting from the 3 spot today, right? And Josh, you are drafting from the 9 spot. And I think we're ready to get started.
Oh, let's do it.
You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
And Simon, Mr. Scamper said your hat. The first thing I noticed, I came in, I meant to talk about your hat, but we got on a different topic and I never brought it up. Awesome hat, Simon.
Thanks.
To
tell you
I dig it.
I didn't even care what was printed on it. I have been looking for a bucket hat that fits on my ginormous head for years now. Every store I've got into that has them for sale, I've put it on and been embarrassed as it just sits on top. And my girlfriend and I were at the mall and she was shopping and I saw this hat and it fit. And so I would have paid them whatever they asked for it at that point. I got a big old
I didn't know bucket hats were so hard to find. That's news to me.
They're mostly like one size fits all is the thing. They don't, a lot of places don't have sizes. Yeah. They just have a one size bucket hat, and my head is not a one size fits all kind of head.
My head's very big as well, and it's not just like I feel like everyone measures head just around, right? There's a depth factor too, right? That I kind of so it's hard for me to find good hats as well.
Definitely. What's up, John? Welcome in. Glad to have you here. It is Vice Pick. So while you're picking, we are going to answer this question from Josh.
Yeah.
This is a trade question. DJ Moore plus Elijah Moore for 2 2023 first Superflex 12
man, it's so good to be back. It's so good to be back.
Welcome back to the screen, Josh. Break this down for us.
This is an easy DJ Moore and Elijah Moore. Take the Moores here for me. I know the 2023 class is going to be great, but you don't know where those picks are going to end up being anyway. If you told me they were 1 and 2, sure, maybe it's worth it. But DJ Moore, he's a 12 wide receiver for me in Dynasty, and Elijah Moore, he's right up there as well. He proved a lot to me last year. I know you might be concerned about Garrett Wilson going in there with the Jets, but Elijah Moore proved so much. He's a really good wide receiver. He's going to get his, and if Zach Wilson can put it all together, Elijah Moore's going to be a stud. I'm hanging onto those wide receivers for sure.
Lele, what about you? How do you feel about this trade? Similar to Josh or different?
I'm going to agree with you for a couple of reasons. Number one, we saw, I can't remember the exact weeks, but there was a week in the mid weeks of 2021 where Elijah Moore was a top receiver. So he really showed something. Yeah. And whatever they're doing in Carolina, DJ Moore is still producing. So I like those guys proving commodities over unknowns in the 2023 first for the first.
Absolutely.
I am completely in line with you guys. Like almost best case scenario, you get players equal in value to DJ Moore and Elijah Moore. Like even first round picks and rookie drafts are not guarantees. Those top couple are much better odds, but after that, it drops pretty quickly. Like if you've got the 7th and 8th pick with these 2 first round picks, you're hoping for DJ Moore and Elijah Moore there. So I'll take these 2 players. Maybe there's some upside with the quarterback class for next year. Know what I mean? There's some big name quarterbacks. You can get lucky, you get one of those first couple picks, but I'm with you guys. We got Jesse in here calling it, saying we will see. I just broke the cardinal rule of mock drafts. Don't put that up on the screen.
Who does that?
What's up, Jesse? Welcome in. I broke the rules. That's on me right there.
It's all good. It wasn't you. We're talking about the chat said it. It's all good. It's all good.
There was a comma, and Jesse was talking about their armpits. They said pits, comma.
Yeah.
Definitely going first round.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, and Josh,
there he goes.
Pick before you. The mob rule, taking Kyle Pitts. Why are you making your pick? We got Vincent in here. So take the players if you need wide receiver, man. Never not buy surefire studs for a pick. Only reason for you to keep these picks is if you need QB or RB next year. Brady wants the firsts. I don't blame you for taking the first. I understand the reasoning, but I'm taking the guarantee from those players that like Josh said, DJ Moore's a top 10 guy for me. He's moved down a little bit, but he's still a top 10 guy.
I also think there's a philosophy, right, to that. Some people want the first. They're always looking for the next big thing or how they can package that for something bigger down the line. So I think there's a philosophy for those people who like the unexpectedness of those first rounds, along with those proven commodities like those Moores.
Absolutely. Vincent said, I was offered Kadarius Toney for a 2023 second. I'm so intrigued by his upside. All right, Lele, would you take Kadarius Toney or a 2023 second?
Ooh.
That's tough because I'm not a big fan of Toney. I don't like where he is. I don't like the current standing he has with the Giants. I don't like even though a lot of people are down on Wan'Dale, they brought in a guy who they expect to do exactly what Kadarius Toney was expected to do. So I'm almost inclined to take the second. But at the same time, I don't know if Tony's capital can get much lower than it is right now. So value, I should say, can get much lower. So that's a real toss up for me. But I'm almost inclined to take the second and just start fresh with something new in 2023.
Josh, what about you? How do you feel about this?
So, I mean, I think Kadarius Toney is a very good player, but he's in a poor situation and he's not really making people happy over there in New York. You know, he's, I mean, we've already heard the trade rumors. It sounds like they were trying to kind of get out from underneath of him. It looks like he's going to stay there, but they drafted Wan'Dale Robinson, who's essentially a version of Kadarius Toney in my mind. Is it a super flex league? If it was a super flex league, I'd be very interested in doing a trade like that, to be honest. I like Kadarius Toney's upside, but I don't think it's ever going to fully pan out for him, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Gotta love upside though.
It's tricky right there. Damian saying Toney for them. Yeah, that is a.
I think it's fair.
It's fair. It's absolutely fair, guys. I wanted to ask you about your first round picks a little bit here. I imagine that you are very happy getting Ja'Marr Chase at 3. How do you feel about that pick for you in a startup like this?
So it's not. I don't recommend this for a lot of people, but when I'm doing a dynasty draft, I'm looking at somebody that I want to root for. I kind of, especially for the first round, I'm drafting a guy based on fandom more than what they might do on the field. And I love Ja'Marr Chase, and I love his swag. I love his situation in Cincinnati. So that was an easy pick for me. I would have taken Justin Jefferson or Ja'Marr Chase there because I like their game so much, and I like what they can do going forward. So that was an easy choice for me, especially with their age and expectations going forward.
Yeah.
It's kind of like picking a wife for me with your first round pick. You want them to be with you for a long time. You don't want a quick divorce. So that's what it comes down for me.
Yeah. And, grabbing a young wide receiver like that will make it as long of a marriage as possible right there. Exactly. Sometimes those running back marriages peter out pretty quickly, even the first round guys. And then Josh.
They might be sexy, but it's not a long – you can't build something off of it.
No, it's going to be an exciting couple of years.
Let's keep this wife analogy going as long as we can. I'm with it.
Josh, your wife in the first round was Mark Andrews. I'm assuming you settled because
I settled.
The person you were after was Kyle Pitts, but they got snagged right before your pick. But you still went the tight end route. You decided I'm still going to go with another young tight end.
Well, you might say I settled, but we have a lot of history. Mark Andrews and I, we go way back. I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, and he's proven it more than Kyle Pitts has. If we're just being completely honest, Mark Andrews has proven on the field a lot more than Kyle Pitts has, in my opinion. Now, Kyle Pitts had a great rookie season. If he had more touchdowns, people would be freaking out right now, and he probably would have been the 4th pick off the board or a top 4. But he didn't. He still had over 1,000 yards. I love Kyle Pitts, but I took Mark Andrews a little bit earlier than I typically would. I just didn't think he was going to make it to my second round pick. And whoever I was going to take here otherwise probably is going to be there. And he is. But I don't know. I have a tier of wide receivers still here. I'm trying to decide which direction I want to go with my team now.
Well, while you're doing that, Josh in here saying I picked the 7th spot just so I could snipe Josh. I would say so far so good.
Where'd you go, Team 7? It just says Team 7 now.
Yeah, they left. They got their snipe in and they said I'm out of here.
They just wanted to get Pitts or that your Team 7, different guy. Okay.
Calvin in here, I think they're agreeing with you, Vi, saying I agree. That's how I feel about Jefferson. Both of those are great first round picks. And then Jay, what's up? Jay said, glad Josh is back from outer space. We are too. We're very glad he's back. Josh, you went with Deebo Samuel as the 5th wide receiver off the board. So you said there was a tier of wide receivers for you. What makes Deebo stand out above the rest of them for you to take him here?
Age and production. As long as he's with the 49ers, I think he's going to produce at a semi-elite level at least, and he's younger than the other wide receivers I would consider. Other than AJ Brown, I considered him, but he's in a brand new situation, and I kind of want to see how that plays out. I go with Deebo Samuel here just because I am very certain about his production next year, and he's still got the youth on his side. I am concerned about his injury history. However, I still feel like now that I took Deebo Samuel here, I'm not locked into anything specific because I could go the youth route. I can still go the win now route, and I just like having that fluidity, right? So I feel pretty confident on taking Deebo Samuel there.
There we go. We had a question in here from Jesse. Who's your rookie wide receiver number one? London
It's
or
got to be one of those,
and why? It could be someone else. So, Vailele, we'll come to you first. Do you have a rookie wide receiver one right now? A guy that you're preferring above the others?
Well, I would say this: if I'm choosing between those two, I'm choosing London. I think Burks is getting a little bit too much steam. They're basing it off of him replacing AJ Brown, and you're replacing him with one of the most efficient wide receivers ever. And I just don't see how you can expect Burks to just come in right away and produce the same way with the limited opportunities that AJ Brown and that Tennessee Titans offense is going to give, with the way their offense is built to run the ball. So if I have to choose between London or Burks, I'm choosing London.
Josh, what about you? Is it London or Burks for you?
I've actually gone back and forth. I have a tier, and it actually includes Garrett Wilson and Jamison Williams. So I have a tier of 4 wide receivers that I think, if you want to make an argument, I think you could easily do for any of the 4. My number 1 wide receiver is Burks.
Burks. I don't hate it. I've been rising on Burks recently, but he is still behind London for me. It is ever so slight. The difference between, I just love London's skill set. I think the landing spots, while not similar, it provides a similar level of opportunity for the two. I don't think this Atlanta team is going to be behind a lot. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot, and there's a vacuum where those targets need to go. So I think it's a great opportunity for London. Burks, he's limited in a different way, not limited by a bad offense, but limited by an offense that wants to run the ball through Derrick Henry first. So I think there's opportunity for both of these guys. I'm just going to go with the skill set that I like more, and that's Drake London for me. It is super close, though. Super close.
Literally back to back in my rankings right now, because I don't know how to separate these guys. I love all 4 of those guys: Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, Drake London, and Jamison Williams. I love all 4 of those guys.
You love all of them. Vi, you really went quarterback here in the second round. First quarterback off the board, Josh Allen. Tell us a little bit about that pick.
I unlike my real marriage, I'm all about polygamy when it comes to fantasy football. So Josh Allen, just in terms of what you're getting from him, not only with what he's been able to do on the ground since coming into the league, but now also you're talking about his prolific passing. I just like him to be a guy who's going to be on my roster for a long time, and a great offense. And now that they've extended Diggs, you got a 1-2 combo that's going to be there for a long time.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how the rest of your team shapes up. Early quarterback can define the way you have to draft, but you can still build a very good team. And guys, I know people talk late QB all the time, and I think the reason that strategy is popular is because there's value at late quarterback. But that doesn't mean that there's not value in early quarterbacks too. Josh Allen, no one's going to argue with you taking a Josh Allen early, because like Vi said, you're locked up. You're good at that position going forward pretty much for the foreseeable future, unless you predict Josh Allen's going to absolutely fall off a cliff. We had a question from Scott in here. Josh, we'll come to you first on this one since Vailele is picking. You guys see Chase not having as much success this year as he did last year. How do you view Jamar Chase? Less, more, relatively the same?
I would say relatively the same. I think he can actually improve his overall reception numbers. Maybe he doesn't get quite as many deep, touchdowns. So that's going to obviously hurt his game. He's had 13 touchdowns last year, but I think he can add to the reception still. I know the ball's going to be spread around between Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon even, but I don't see any downturn happening with Jamar Chase. I think it's going to be pretty level fantasy points wise.
I'm with you. Vi, you went ahead and took your first tight end. You got some Darren Waller. How are you feeling about Waller this upcoming season? He's a little bit older. Devontae Adams is in town now, but we've seen him have elite production. How do you feel about Waller going into this season?
I'm basing Darren Waller's pickup on a couple of things. Number one, so many tight ends off the boards. I wanted to get one who still has a chance and has proven to be successful. I know he's a little bit older, but I base this solely on the red zone targets and opportunities for touchdowns in a new and improved Las Vegas offense. I know they got Devontae Adams there, but Darren Waller, when he was on the field with Derek Carr, that was somebody who he looked to time and time again. And I don't think that change is even with Devontae Adams in there. So I chose him. It was a bit of a reach for me. I didn't really want to take him this early, but given that so many tight ends went off the board, I wanted to get one of those elite guys early.
Yep, I think it's the end of a tier, and I think that's the perfect time to grab a guy is whenever he's the last one in a tier. Position doesn't matter as much. You go and grab it. I like that pick. And then Josh, a player we were talking about a little bit earlier, DJ Moore, Mr. Consistent over the last 3 years. He has been within, like, it was like between 1,150 and 1,190 yards over the last 3 seasons, like within a 40-yard window, and 4 touchdowns exactly the last 3 years. Are you expecting similar from him this year, or are you thinking maybe there's going to be a jump up? Are you looking for maybe Corral to take over at some point this season?
I actually know them, like, thinking about it. I think someone asked in the chat, do we see Corral eventually taking over for Sam Darnold at some point? And I think that's an absolutely realistic possibility. I mean, Sam Darnold hasn't really done anything that inspires a ton of confidence. And while Matt Corral maybe still has a lot to learn in the NFL, he's a better athlete than Sam Darnold. He could maybe make some more things happen in this offense, with Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore. So regardless, I think DJ Moore, yes, to answer your question, Simon, will produce at a very similar level. I have him ranked above a lot of wide receivers that were drafted, and I'm higher on DJ Moore, I think, than most.
Man, actually. I just want him to get a good quarterback in there. I just want an above average quarterback throwing the ball to DJ Moore, because I feel like the sky's the limit for that dude if he gets if that offense gets above average, which is going to require that quarterback. We've got Damian in here asking us, will we see Bateman take a big step forward this season?
Absolutely.
I mean, we should, right? So Josh, you're the Ravens fan.
Absolutely.
You think absolutely?
There's no doubt in my mind. They don't have any other wide receivers there. They have Mark Andrews, who's going to be the number 1 target for this offense, but Bateman is going to be the number 1 wide receiver, and he proved a lot last season. A lot of that wasn't with Lamar Jackson, but Bateman's a really good receiver. Remember, he was a first-round pick, and he was hurt he missed some time last year. So I think Bateman's going to be very good next season. Now, a number 1 wide receiver, hell no. Number 2 wide receiver, back end, sure, yeah. That's probably
Vi, what about you? How do you feel about our boy Bateman? You trying to marry him too, or no?
I might date him on the side. Might be my side piece. If we're talking.
Is that like what the 8th round beyond is? Those are
I mean, I would say this with Bateman. Yeah, I agree with him that he's going to be the number 1 guy. But we saw last year the number 1 receiver, Marquise Hollywood Brown, how well he did in that offense and extending the field and giving Mark Andrews room to operate. But we don't know what that offense is going to look like this year with healthy running backs. Last year, it was just a revolving door. So we don't know how much passing they're going to do. So, yes, I think he's the number 1. I just would temper your expectations given that Baltimore offense and the expectations we should have within that offense and running the ball.
Absolutely. We had a question in here from Scott. How does a startup dynasty differ from a redraft? Is it just age or is it more? So age is a part. I think the biggest difference is when you're thinking redraft. So this is going to take age into part of this, but it's literally that year only. You don't care about their contract situations. You don't care if they're going to become a free agent. You don't care if they're going to end up on a different team the following year. You don't care if they're going to turn 40 or if they're going to retire. It's just that season. I guess one of the other differences would be, at least looking at this draft board and some others, you'll see wide receivers kind of push their way up a little bit higher into draft boards in dynasty leagues as well. Now, the top tier running backs, as you can see with Taylor going first, will generally still be drafted above those top tier wide receivers. Generally, I like my wide receivers.
Because they're very important.
Because they're very important.
Yeah.
But a wide receiver, like we said,
they don't last as long.
generally lasts longer. So you'll see the value go up a little bit in drafts. But it's interesting. I feel like in trades, it gets a little bit different. Like the running back value gets escalated because they get hurt more. You're looking for someone to fill in during the season. But yeah, definitely interesting. Any other differences you guys would say between dynasty and redraft strategy wise?
I would have to say dynasty, you have to pay attention to a lot more things. You have to pay attention to their contract. You have to pay attention to the other contracts in the room. You have to pay attention to draft capital, because in a redraft, like you said, you're only looking at that year. So you might not really care about a 5th round tight end rookie, but in dynasty, you might pay a little attention to them based on their metrics and what they might provide in the long run. So I would say I would say those two things kind of stick out to me along with the things you said. Now I got to draft.
Okay, now it is your turn. Do you need me to reset the clock? Let me know.
Yeah. I was looking at this screen.
Give him a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that was a pretty good summary overall. Pretty much, the difference between Dynasty and redraft. Yeah, like I would also say, like for me, and we talked about this during a lot of these mock drafts. It's about building a team for what you're trying to do. I'm not saying like if you have to go win now completely or like completely go all age, but I do like that kind of a theme I like to follow. So if I'm trying to go for youth, I'm not gonna draft Julio Jones late if I'm trying to go for the future. So those later draft picks I think are very affected. I think earlier on you're just trying to grab talent when you can, and then you kind of determine where you want to go from there. But having a little bit of a plan can help, right? I would say overall. So it is what it is. It is what it is. And
Sorry about that, guys. I accidentally locked my girlfriend out, and I had to go let her in. That was my bad.
I saw Brady said he was torn between Akers and Dobbins. Brady, you sniped me. I wanted Dobbins, so I don't know. I think they're in the same tier, though.
And Vincent saying Dobbins will be great if healthy. I saw J-Wall in here earlier saying Simon drafted Burks over Wilson in our rookie draft. Indeed, I did, and that's because I have Burks ranked ahead of Wilson right now. So that's why I went Burks over Wilson. London went right ahead of me. That's what I was hoping to get. But
so I love shooting for upside. I love shooting for upside, especially with the rookies. And when it comes to upside, pure upside, when you're comparing Burks and Wilson, Burks has a lot more upside, in my opinion. Wilson's super safe, though. I think he's a great receiver. He's NFL ready. He's going to come in and produce. If everything goes well with Burks, though, everything goes the right way. I mean, we're looking at AJ Brown, like seriously.
Yep. Hi, Valerie. Welcome in.
Hey,
good
Valerie.
To see Josh back. And Nolan said, no, it's because I sniped London from Simon. Yeah, I was really hoping London would be sitting there. Piece of shit. Someone kick Nolan out of here. I'm just kidding. No, I got sniped twice in that draft. And then also I thought for sure I was going to get Jahan Dotson in the second round. And then stupid J-Wall comes in and grabs Dotson one spot ahead of me.
I'm seeing Vincent. He said, what's the gap between Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis? I drafted Pickett at 1.8 and 1.9 in my 2 dynasty leagues. I'm hoping this is a super flex leagues. But if this is super flex league, that's exactly where Kenny Pickett should be going. I have the 108 and we're finishing up a rookie draft. And I was kind of like, okay, if Kenny Pickett falls here, I'll take him. But there's 2 running backs and there's definitely those 4 wide receivers above him. I think some people will throw in Sky Moore, maybe I shouldn't name names, but some other wide receivers into that grouping. But Kenny Pickett belongs right there. And at 1.9, he's very good value in my opinion. Big difference between those two. Big difference between Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis.
How much of a value difference are you saying? Like
very low. I mean, one's going to walk in my opinion, be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers with a ton of weapons and was a first-round pick. And one's 100% a backup behind Ryan Tannehill and was a third-round pick. And we don't even know if he's going to end up being the starter. So Malik will. I mean, yeah, big difference in my mind. Big.
Absolutely. I'm with you there. Vi, you went Leonard Fournette there in the 4th round as your RB1. Do you expect him to continue the success that we saw last year on this Bucs offense?
I expect him to, at least for the next 2 or 3 years, continue that. He's still, when you look at his age, he's still not necessarily over the hill, and he hasn't really produced the carries that would expect him to start to fade away. The injuries towards the end of last year concern me a little bit, but I think for that, I was looking for a running back who lost Ronald Jones, who was his only competition, and now he's there and he's in a high-powered offense. So I like him for the time being, at least until Tom Brady retires in about 5 to 6 years.
Hey, I got sniped twice, and whenever that happens, I like to punish myself. I don't like doing this, guys. If it was tequila, that's a different story. But
it is your pick, just so you know.
I know Chris Godwin. Okay. Chris Godwin. I got sniped. Got a couple.
I am rooting for teams 8 and 10 now. I'll say that.
This is so messed up, man. Like I really wanted Chris Godwin there. Like I guess I'll.
The mob rule is just sniping you left and right, aren't they? Oh no, who sniped you before with Pitts? Oh, it was the mob rule. Yep.
Yeah. No, and I got sniped with J.K. Dobbins the pick before.
There you go. Who did that one? Same person? No, Brady got you on that one.
I'll take
Josh.
I'll take him. He's my boy.
This was another rookie that you said was in that same grouping. So are you happy with this pick?
I'm happy with the pick. I would have preferred Chris Godwin. He's in a much better situation with Tom Brady. He's still very young and he's proven it. You know, Chris Godwin, just when he's healthy on the field, he's an elite wide receiver. He did it with Jameis Winston as well. So I really like Jameson Williams' upside though. I think he has all the upside in the world. I think he has the most upside out of all the wide receivers in this draft, maybe just because of his elite speed. If everything goes well for him, I know I said something very similar about Burks, but Williams has just as much upside.
Yeah, and you love your upside. You already said that right there. Josh, and you're saying Godwin in the back of the 5th. Come on, guys. Stop letting me win this draft.
Dude, I'm so disappointed.
That is a great pick. I know Josh agrees that was a great pick.
Oh, I'm already back on the clock. Okay, cool.
And Calvin said I was eyeballing Lenny hard there. So you sniped some picks from Calvin right there. One pick before him grabbed Leonard Fournette. Was there any consideration for Aaron Jones there, or was Leonard Fournette clearly the pick for you, Vi?
You know, I was doing some research this past week because I'm actually in another dynasty draft at this same exact time. And everything coming out of Green Bay is that they're moving closer and closer to just a 50-50 split between him and A.J. Dillon. So that's the reason that I went over there, is just, though you don't know how that's going to go. The new regime drafted A.J. Dillon. I don't know how much they want to rely on Aaron Jones and giving more A.J. Dillon as they go forward. So that was the only concern. That was the only reason why. I love it, Aaron Jones, but that was the reason why I went with Fournette instead.
I get that. I understand that. My only hope for Aaron Jones is that, especially with the departure of Devontae Adams and what Lazard being their top receiving option, they brought in Christian Watson. Aaron Jones is a proven pass catcher. Aaron Rodgers likes to throw the ball to people that he trusts. So maybe we don't see Christian Watson get as involved as early as we would like, but Aaron Jones has that trust, and maybe we see like him take a step back in the running game. A.J. Dillon can step up because that's what he's good at. He's a hard runner. He's got those quads for days, right? And so Aaron Jones can maybe be more of the receiving back, get in on more receiving plays. And not that he's not involved in that way already, but we could see an uptick. Josh, I love your 6th round pick. It is absurd to me. And it happens every time we mock draft. It is truly absurd to me how late you can grab Ezekiel Elliott. He's still Ezekiel Elliott. Like, he's still like, he doesn't not be an RB1. That's what he does. If he plays, he's an RB1.
His worst finish in a PPR. I mean, in a standard league, he was still a top 10 running back, but in PPR, he was number 13 when he missed 6 games and only played 10. That was his worst finish in 6 years. I mean, okay, so my team isn't really built to draft Ezekiel Elliott, if I'm being completely honest. I'm building a little bit younger here, but, you know, maybe I still can win next season, and I can determine that. And if I'm not going to win, if I determine that midseason, I could flip Ezekiel Elliott to a contender, probably for a pretty hefty price. Because I expect him to still be doing well next year. Now, he is an aging running back. I hate 26-year-old running backs, but the value is there, so I went for it.
Is he 26?
He is.
26. Man, you are on point with your ages, heights, and weights.
I know my ages. Heights and weights are pretty good with too. I think within 10 pounds, within an inch or two, I can always get it. And age is pretty good.
Jay said points per game equals RB17 last year. Fine for a running back, but I wouldn't want him as my RB1.
But that's part of it. That's part of it, Jay. He doesn't get hurt. He's always on the field. You know you're going to have a running back out there. That's part of the game, right? You could draft Ezekiel Elliott, or you could take James Conner or Leonard Fournette, who have pretty lengthy injury histories, but probably are going to be better on points per game. And they went much higher, so.
Also, Brady saying everyone who has Zeke in Dynasty disagrees that you can flip him. Yep. Now may be a difficult time to trade him.
In the middle of the season is a little bit different. Yeah.
Yep. Mid-season when people are desperate.
I also think there's something to say about I just drafted.
Okay, gotcha.
I also think there's something to say about Tony Pollard and the love he gets, especially online and on Twitter, that drops Ezekiel Elliott's value down because people keep waiting for the shoe to drop to that. But I agree with you guys. Ezekiel Elliott has proven time and time again. And he's not that old either. He's still like a young guy, even for running back. So I don't hate it.
No.
If there's anyone that I think can do that, like continue playing later, I think Zeke's one of those running backs. He just like has that sturdy build, and he hasn't shown a really much injury history before. So.
Yeah. And I think Tony Pollard, while a great running back, I think as long as Zeke's there, he's going to be the complement back. I don't think he's ever going to take over for Zeke in that system. Zeke's the RB1, unless we see a drastic drop off in Zeke's ability, which we haven't seen. I haven't seen signs of that yet. I don't think Tony Pollard is just suddenly going to be the better running back. Zeke's an elite runner. And now we're starting to see lots of quarterbacks.
And Tony Pollard's the perfect complement, by the way. Like, he just is the perfect complement running back to Zeke for really anyone. He's a great third down back. He's very fast. He can catch the ball well. I like Tony Pollard a lot too.
Yeah. Now we've got some more running backs going off the board. This is a running back that I think has been a little bit polarizing. Rookie running back James Cook, brother of Dalvin Cook. Josh, I wanted to get your take on it. I've seen him go as high as the 102 in rookie drafts this year. People posting it on Twitter. I've seen it multiple times on Twitter, him going as the second overall pick. Now, that being said, a lot more I see him going towards the back of the first round, which I still think is fairly high for where he was drafted in the NFL draft, but people are excited about the landing spot. How do you feel about James Cook in Buffalo? Devin Singletary's there.
I'm raising on him. I'm rising on him. I like James Cook. I think he's going to have a very good role in Buffalo. Sure, Buffalo, they don't run it very much, blah, blah, blah. But that's why they drafted James Cook, because they don't run it very much. He's a pass catching back. He's going to line up in the slot. He's going to line up all over the field and at running back when they run it. So I think he's a very athletic back. He's undersized. He's not the same running back as Dalvin Cook. They're not the same player. They kind of look the same. They have, kind of the same moves and agility, but James Cook is a little bit more undersized. A late first round pick's fine for me. Early second is beautiful. Any earlier than that, no. I'm taking a lot of wide receivers over him, including one that just went, Christian Watson. This is a player that I am so torn on, right? Like, we talked about him a little bit earlier, but man, the potential upside, the dream of the wide receiver drafted to Green Bay after Devontae Adams left. Like, that's what you're looking for. Like, is this Aaron Rodgers' new wide receiver one? And that's what the hope is. And that's why he's so exciting. But on that same note, like, his biggest plus is he's big and he's fast. Like, that's what he is. He's a huge, fast wide receiver. And he reminds me a lot of another receiver that's already been in Green Bay and already played with Aaron Rodgers and was good. Jordy Nelson?
No. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's very MVS-like. He's similar to MVS in the way that he plays and his build and his frame and his speed. And MVS was, at best, what was he in Green Bay? A wide receiver 3? Like, someone that you could plug in from time to time. I don't think he ever reached that wide receiver 2 status. So we'll see what happens with Christian Watson. I'm just saying it's not guaranteed just because he's this new talented wide receiver in Green Bay that we see some crazy numbers from him, because we've seen a very similar player have limited success in Green Bay.
And then, Simon, I think you also mentioned earlier when you were talking about Aaron Jones, is like anytime Devontae Adams was hurt, we expected the next wide receiver to come up and fill that role. And it's clear that Aaron Rodgers doesn't play that way. He plays with the guys he trusts, and bringing in a rookie guy, I don't know if you're going to get that trust factor the way you would with somebody else for that wide receiver 1 role. So I agree with you. It's hard to kind of see what Christian Watson is going to do in that offense with Aaron Rodgers.
I will make this point. He is better than MVS in every single fashion of the word better. I think he's a better pass catcher. I think he's faster. I think he's more explosive. I think he's better with the ball in his hands. I think he's a better contested catch player. So, like, when it comes down to it, I think he is just better than MVS. I understand the comparison. They are very similar when it comes down to it. And Rodgers has not really shown that he loves to throw it to rookies. Christian Watson goes out there and drops a couple catches. He might just be like, get him out of here. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a likely outcome. I am a little bit nervous for his rookie season, but he is the best wide receiver on the Packers, hands down, in my opinion. And he's playing with Aaron Rodgers. So if we're just, I love my upside.
Maybe long hair Rodgers likes rookies more than short hair Rodgers.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe he's like cooler with rookies now. Like, he's the cool uncle for like these young guys coming in instead of like the grumpy dad. Like, now his kids are out of the nest.
Yeah, especially after that cleanse. Who knows what else was flushed out of him? We could be looking at an entirely different personality from Aaron Rodgers this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's anything like any of the cleanses I've done or I've witnessed people do, then he's going to be even grumpier than he was before if he's still doing it. I've never seen someone like 5 days into a cleanse and being like, man, I feel so free. It's always like, shut up. I haven't had anything to eat in 5 days besides carrot juice, and your voice is like nails on a chalkboard.
So I would say this is a safe space. I wonder how many people who subscribe to the cleanse are only doing that because they torture themselves and feel like they have to do that to convince other people to do that, when in fact they wish they had never done it. I don't know. I feel like this is a safe space where I can say that.
It's like a rite of passage whenever you finish it. Like you can only say like, man, I'm a new person afterwards.
I mean, look, I love my kids, but it's much like being a parent where it can be torturous that first year when you don't sleep. But everyone says you got to be a parent. You have to be a parent when they don't tell you all the stuff, cleaning up the poops and all that stuff. So I'm just warning everybody out there. I love my kids, but know what you're getting into. Maybe that's
sometimes you got to clean poop.
Rodgers. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to clean poop.
Yep.
And
oh no, not sometimes. A lot of times.
A lot of times. I had to clean a giant poop off the living room floor this morning. And we're dog sitting my girlfriend's brother's dog for a couple months while he's out of town.
I'm glad you had more context.
I was wondering where that was going. I appreciate that.
We had Taco Bell for dinner last night, and we ran out of toilet paper in the bedroom, so I had to run. I'm just kidding. We were dog sitting, and Max, I don't know what happened, but not only did he make a giant
keeping
poop
up
in
on
the
this
living room,
Amber Heard trial, and like my mind went a different way. You know, like
Max was courteous enough to try to cover it up for me, though. He put his dog bed on top of it and then laid on top of his dog bed. So he squished the giant poop underneath the dog bed in between the floor. It was really considerate of him. Really considerate of him. Josh in here said, Juju hate is real. I'll take all the shares of him I can. So, Vi, while you're making your pick, I'm going to go to Josh first. Josh, how do you feel about Juju on this Kansas City offense?
I contemplated taking him here, actually. I ended up going with the rookies, which I'm really high on right now. I think there's a chance, a very good chance, that Juju Smith-Schuster has the most catches at the wide receiver position for the Chiefs. I know people are very high on Sky Moore. I would draft Sky Moore ahead of Juju Smith-Schuster, but Juju's proved a lot, and he's going to be playing with the – say what you will. I mean, I know Ben Roethlisberger's a great quarterback, Hall of Famer. He's playing with the best quarterback he's ever played with, you know, Juju.
Because the Ben that Juju had was not the Hall of Fame Ben for most of those seasons. He had noodle arm Ben, not Hall of Fame Ben.
Exactly. So upside seems like a theme of today, but I like Juju Smith-Schuster's upside a lot. And if he can prove something with the Chiefs, maybe he gets a longer contract with them, and he's their slot guy for years to come.
Yeah,
and if I'm not mistaken, I think Juju flirted with the Chiefs last year, so I know there was a mutual love there. So I'm excited.
They've been teasing each other for the last 12 months, just sending each other text messages like, "Been thinking about you,"
sending Snapchats late at night, you know.
Yeah,
but that's why you're not going to pick him, Vi, because like you want that long-term relationship. You want to be able to trust him.
Exactly.
Like,
You need someone faithful. I'll let you pick, and then I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Allen Robinson. After you pick, we'll come back to you, though, on that one. Mr. Scamper said, sweet dog. Max is very sweet, but, man, come on, dude. Just poop. Do it on top of your bed, even. That would be better. And Jay said, can't confirm Vi's parent take. Lots of poop. Lots of fluids, I've heard. Just all the fluids. Pee, poop, vomit. It's just everywhere all the time. And Jesse says, I hope Christian Watson is a bust. Skull, man, more Vikings fans in.
Fine.
Just kidding. I don't think we have enough Vikings fans. It might just be you and Scott Fish in the chat cheering for the Vikings. We got a couple Packers fans though, right? Bo and Dame, I think, are both Packers fans. But Vi, I wanted to talk to you about Allen Robinson because I feel like Allen Robinson is one of the most interesting players to discuss going into this year. We've seen what he can do, and we've seen what he can do with bad quarterbacks. We've also seen very poor outings from him recently on the Chicago Bears, but it was clear that he didn't want to be there either. Now he's going into a pass-heavy offense, but he's not going to be the one most likely. How are you viewing Allen Robinson for next season?
I'm going to view him the same way I viewed the Robert Woods Cooper Kupp conundrum last year, as well as Odell Beckham's emergence towards the end of last year. Like, I think getting Allen Robinson this late in the draft is a steal based solely on the fact that you can eat with the wide receiver too in these Rams offense. Matt Stafford had over 40 touchdowns passing through the air. They barely ran the ball in the red zone. They were more a passing offense. So I like Allen Robinson. We saw what he does with no-name quarterbacks. Now he gets a legit quarterback. And I think last year was more just he wanted out of Chicago and didn't really feel like putting out the effort. And I think you see the same Allen Robinson. I think we see the Allen Robinson we saw before rather than the Allen Robinson we saw last year.
I hope so.
And I just like saying Allen Robinson's full name over and over again as well.
Allen Robinson.
I like to just call him Allen.
It is nice.
You know, so Allen.
I call him Al.
Al, yeah. Al
That's
and
just
I.
me, though. A-Rob's a good nickname, huh?
Nah, I like Al. Al is much easier. So Al, I basically feel the same. And in the 8th round, that's it hardly even seems like a risk anymore. Like it seems like you've already mitigated your risk by selecting him in the 8th round.
No, I would have picked him with my pick if he was there. My next pick coming up.
Seems beautiful.
Well, I would say last year, Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, you were getting like 4th or 5th round. Now we know what Cooper Kupp is capable of doing, but that doesn't mean the second wide receiver can't still pull 4th or 5th round value. So that's kind of how I position that.
Yeah. 2 other receivers, this just made me think of it. And Russell Wilson just got drafted, so this is a good time to talk about it. Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton is reminding me of the Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods from last year as well. And I know I've said this on stream, but while I personally think they're creeping closer in ADP now, they used to be a couple rounds apart. Now it looks like a round and a half-ish. I personally think Judy's going to be the guy, going to be the one in that offense, but I also was very confident that Robert Woods was going to be the one for Matthew Stafford last year, as were the vast majority of analysts. Woods was the guy they were on. This year it seems to be Judy. There is a very real chance that Sutton is the one in this offense. He's highly talented. We've seen him do it. Russell Wilson may prefer him as a target. We don't know for sure. While I prefer Judy, if they're going to be 2 rounds apart, though, give me Sutton. It's similar to the A-Rob thing you're talking about. I'll take the value on this guy because even if he is the 2, there's likely fantasy production from him already, and there's a chance he could be the 1. We're not seeing that from A-Rob with Cooper Kupp there, but we could see that with these 2 guys, similar to what we saw with Woods and Kupp last year. Josh, how do you feel about Judy and Sutton going into next year's draft?
Yeah, I mean, Judy's my preferred option, obviously. Or not obviously. I mean, if you wanted to tell me that Sutton's going to be the guy there, that's fine. That's fine. I would much rather have Judy. I just think he's a much better route runner. But like, if Russell Wilson's just going to be tossing the ball up, Sutton might be the better fantasy asset. So, you know, Judy's got some off the field concerns happening right now. I'm not concerned about that actually, but yeah, I think the separation is smaller than their draft position show. Let's put it that way. For sure.
I'm with you, Josh. And it's more just like value. I'll take the value on the receivers when it's a brand new situation. It's a new situation for them. And that's where, what is it that Jay always says? Like a talent plus uncertainty tends to lead towards value. So we've got talented players and we've got some uncertainty in how this offense is going to run, what it's going to go through. And so there's going to be value there. We just got to identify which player it's going to fall with. Mr. Scamper's grabbing Tyler Lockett at the 9-12. So Drew Lock currently is slated to be their starting quarterback. Vi, how does that make you feel about Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf for next season?
Very icky, to use a technical term. I just don't know. I mean, saw what Drew Lock did in Denver. And yes, you could say Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, based on where they are in their careers, are better off than Judy and Cortland Sutton. But when you go from Russell Wilson to Drew Lock, and given the protection that Russell Wilson has dealt with in the past, and the fact that they are committed to running the ball this year, and they've expressed so, I just don't like Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf, who I love a lot in Dynasty or in redraft.
You guys want to go down like a total off-season hypothetical based off a tweet that Josh and I just read path for these 2 wide receivers? Okay.
Yes.
So we saw Drew Brees tweet, maybe I'll play football, maybe I'll announce, maybe I'll go pro in pickleball, maybe I'll focus on my kids. And the Seattle Seahawks are one of a couple teams that probably could vie for him whenever he comes back. The Saints obviously being one. Panthers maybe take a run at him. Seahawks are another team up there. How would you guys feel? Would it be a positive bump from Drew Lock to Drew Brees at this point in his career for you guys?
No. We saw just plain and simple. Like, I love that Drew Brees is tantalizing folks and people think it's the same Drew Brees. But he was basically slants and drop-offs to Kamara at the end of his career. So no, I don't like it, and I got to pick.
And just like with the weapons there, I'm like thinking of like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, who are like big play guys. It's like it just doesn't seem like it meshes very well.
Yeah,
in my
it's not
opinion,
a good fit, is it? No, I'm
Yeah.
with you. MC Lee in here said A-Rob is a monster. I think he's going to explode again. And then also, I thought this comment was interesting. Hill and Waddle got
That's a very
drafted
good
right
comment.
next to each other in rounds 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Cup A-Rob be the better duo, and they got drafted 7 rounds apart from each other. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked by that either. That's a great point, MC, and not a way I was looking at it. Know what I mean? I wasn't really looking at it in terms of like duos, but yeah, that Josh, which side of that bet would you take? Combined fantasy points
between
2022. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle or Cup and A-Rob?
I'm with MC Lee here. It would be Cup, but mostly because of Cup. Cup's previous season, if we just take those numbers and then let's just say he has the same numbers next year, which is going to be tough to do. It would be really difficult for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to match that, regardless of really what Allen Robinson ends up doing at the end of the year, which he's gonna be productive. But like when we're comparing those two, it's like it's the age thing in Dynasty too, right? Like I know Tyreek Hill's getting a little bit older, but Allen Robinson's 29. That's why he's getting drafted a little bit later, right? If he was 26 and just got signed by the Rams, and now we were looking at this, it would be a little bit different of a story. He's 28. It says, okay, well. I was wrong there.
I bet he's turning. Yeah. I was just shocked whenever you said that. Like absolutely shocked. August 24th, 29. He'll be 29.
Okay,
so
by the beginning of the season, he'll be 29.
Yep. And he and him are we're having a combined birthday party. None of you are invited, and there will be no photos, so you can't fact check me on if he was there or not. But it's mostly just gonna be like really cool people from the NFL and stuff that are there. Is what I'm planning on.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, you and the really cool people from the NFL. It's
right. Yeah, it's a pretty tight invite list. Mr. Scamper's in here saying, Breeze, go make a sandwich, buddy. Enjoy retirement. He should enjoy retirement, shouldn't he? And Jesse wants to know, do you guys ever do IDP leagues? So
not really.
I am in one Dynasty league with IDP positions. It's only 4 players though, so it's not like full IDP. And I'm going to be fully honest with you, Jesse. I'm so bad at IDP. I have not dedicated the time necessary to get good at it or to give any advice that anyone should listen to. But we've got some people in the chat that are great at IDP. Craig in the chat is Craig's phenomenal at IDP. Go follow him on Twitter. He is an IDP machine and is a great resource for any IDP content. Vi, do you ever play any IDP leagues?
I do not.
Yeah, it is. It's a different beast entirely. My strategy has just been I have Aaron Donald, and that's been my IDP strategy for the last couple of years. And then I think that
would be my issue. Is I would just be like, okay, Aaron Donald's gone. Now what? Micah Parsons. Okay, now who do I go get? I mean, I have to do deep dive, but I feel there's so much more skill positions in the offensive side, and I've been playing longer. Yeah.
Jay,
I'm praying for
we need to get this on camera. We have proof it exists. I will download this video right after so Jay can't delete it from YouTube and StreamYard. Jay says, if Drew Brees plays for the Seahawks, I will eat a jar of mayo on live stream.
Oh my God. Can somebody reach out to Drew Brees' people? Now, when they say play, do they mean like an actual down or just training camp, or what are the parameters?
Get signed?
Yeah, because I would be full support of a Twitter field campaign.
Here's what I think, Vi, is whatever the lowest thing Drew Brees has to do is, since Jay didn't define it here, is what it is. So like signs or go like training camp probably is what we're going to go with. Whatever is the easiest, or even maybe works out with the team. That's playing for the Seahawks.
I mean, if we're talking playing for the Seahawks, I mean, I could go on right now and get him playing for the Seahawks. Like that's
Madden.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, Jay's already backtracking here. You're seeing he starts an NFL game. Sure, you're just worried about the mayonnaise now. You know what's going to happen.
It has to be Miracle
Whip. If it's going to be starts an NFL game, it's got to be Miracle Whip, and it's got to be the Costco size Miracle Whip.
Okay, yeah, you can choose either Costco size Miracle Whip or a regular jar of Dukes. Up to you.
I want Dukes. I want it to be Dukes.
It's thick. Did you guys see after the Dukes Mayo Bowl, the mayonnaise bath they gave to the winning coach this year? They just dumped mayo on him. Disgusting.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
How much would
I
it
bet
cost?
It's great. I do it for free. I bet it's great for the skin. Like keeps it nice and moisturized.
I know it's good for your hair. I know mayo is. Mayonnaise is good for the hair. People do that on purpose. But just the texture seemed like it would be like when I accidentally get like ketchup on my finger at a restaurant, like, they put the little cup in with my fries and I touch it, like
Ketchup.
I can't just wipe it off on a napkin. I have to like go and wash my hands or get a wet wipe or something. And the texture of mayonnaise, like, I like it on food, but on your finger, it's just nasty.
I understand the texture of mayonnaise thing. Now ketchup, that doesn't really bother me. Yeah, but mayonnaise, that's like clumpier.
Aggie. Kev said a jar of mayo a day keeps the doctor away. Yeah. No, I mean,
no, don't do that.
As in, no doctors will want to see you if you're eating a jar of mayonnaise a day.
As you're gonna die and never get to see a doctor. Exactly. So yes, the doctor will stay away.
Also, Mr. Scamper is adding another qualifier. Yeah, Jay, you didn't say how you would eat it, so we get to say you have to eat it with your toes.
Okay, we're good with starts in an NFL game. We'll accept that, but you got to eat it with your toes.
And Vi, as we approach the end of this draft, Brady wants to know how are you feeling about that Josh Allen pick. So how do you feel about the rest of your draft now? You went early quarterback. Do you like it still?
I mean, I have to say because I'm pig-headed, but at the same time, no. I don't.
Yeah, there was some separation with the other quarterbacks there, huh?
Yeah, there's a big separation. I could have definitely got him in the 3rd or 4th round. I think for me, it's like dynasty level. I want to hold on to a guy who's going to be there for 10 to 15 years potentially, and so you don't have to worry about a position for that long. You can just plug him in as a starter is great. But yeah, the reason I went for Josh Allen was number 1 because of that, but number 2, I really didn't like anybody else around that area to take, and so I didn't really want to feel like I wanted to reach for another guy. Like when you look at the people around him who got picked, I'm not a big fan of any of those guys coming in this year at their ADP. So that's kind of played into my decision as well.
That makes sense. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, DK Metcalf, those are all there's question marks about every single one of them going into this year, right? Derrick Henry, he's an older running back that maybe didn't fit with your 1st round pick of Jamar Chase for a dynasty team. I still like the pick. I'm fine with it. Could you have gotten more value at the quarterback position? Sure, right? But fantasy drafts aren't just determined by value. It's not just value that determines how good of a draft something is. And let me resume this for you, give you a full timer because I distracted you right there.
There we go.
Mr. Scamper's coming in saying mayonnaise is a pudding.
Oh no,
it's a great one. Jay had the worst pudding take of all time the other day. Said that tapioca pudding was the 101 of all puddings.
What's your 101? Not
tapioca. Probably banana pudding. Yeah. Banana. See, I'm with Vi. It's probably like a good banana pudding. It's probably 101.
And I'm going to just throw something out there. This might not get me back on the show. But if you haven't had Vegenaise, it's the vegan version of mayonnaise. It's delicious. And you can use it as a dip.
Get him out of here.
I use it as a chip dip. It's great for aiolis. If you'd like to grill your artichokes and dip it with that with a little lemon, it's phenomenal. Ooh. Just try it out. Vegenaise, you can find it at your local market. I am not sponsored by them, but if Vegenaise wants to, I'm here.
I feel like we're not allowed to say Vegenaise on Twitch. I feel like we're going to get kicked off Twitch for saying Vegenaise one too many times.
Important question. Does bread pudding count in the pudding conversation?
I feel like it's more of
that's
like a
cheating.
Pastry, right?
Okay, that's cheating because like there's a bunch of different kinds of bread pudding that are the 101.
Bread pudding is amazing.
Puddings.
There's a place in Houston that makes bread pudding out of glazed donuts. Like they use that instead of the bread, and it might be the best dessert I've ever eaten in my entire life. I don't remember the place. It came in a pink box. So somewhere in Houston that sells donuts in pink boxes. Go check it out. You took Dulcich at the end there. I missed that. I just drafted him today. That is a tight end that I have been excited about. I'm not necessarily like saying he's the next big thing at tight end, but he's one of those prospects where he's got the skill set that could translate to being one of those top tier NFL tight ends. And in Dynasty, you can put him on the end of your bench. You've got Darren Waller, and wait a couple years, see what happens over there. And as far as landing spot goes, I know he's competing with Alberto, and people love Alberto, but what really has Alberto proved? Yeah, he hasn't secured himself as an entrenched starter. There's room for Dulcich to come in and get some work. So I love that last round pick, especially in a tight end premium league. That is beautiful. Vi, thank you so much for coming on and mock drafting with us today. It's an absolute blast, and always appreciate getting little bits of knowledge that you throw our way during these streams. Thank you so much, my man.
Yeah, happy to drop that Vegenaise knowledge for you guys. It was my pleasure. I'm always here for my hot Vegenaise takes.
Guys, and if you do not already follow Vailele over on Twitter, go and do it right now. You can find his Twitter handle right below his handsome face on the screen. It is Vaisallas, Waisallas. So make sure you guys go and follow him over there. And after you've done that, if you haven't done so already, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. The mock draft review will be coming your way this week. So 2, 3, 4, make sure you're looking out for it. We'll be recording that later today and hopefully getting it out to you guys by Wednesday. And we'll probably mention who our favorite team is in that video. I'm feeling a little spicy this week, though, so I think I might do some roasts as well. Usually I just focus on the teams I love. I think I'm going to do like one team I love and then just really roast a couple people. So
I'll make sure to wear my fire retardant jacket for that.
No, I actually like your team. There were a couple in there that I think are roast worthy. We'll see what happens.
Trading me's fantasy fun. I'm gonna just say it right now.
Okay, Josh
kind of froze up there.
Making sure it gets in before we go. Mr. Scamper saying hot Vegenaise sounds good. And on that note, the last thing we're gonna say is hot Vegenaise. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Adios, everybody.